This is the Prestige A4 DTF printer. Now, DTF printing does not get much easier or more accessible than this. And with the high resolution and print speed, this machine punches way above its weight class. So in this video, we're gonna walk you through a step-by-step guide of how to unbox, set up, and get your first print with the brand new Prestige A4 printer. Now, before you get started, you should have a few tools on hand. Ideally, you're gonna have a screwdriver, Phillips head, a blade or some sort of sharp edge, and a pair of scissors. So let's dive into this. Now, as you can see here, it's obviously not on a pallet anymore. When you first get your printer, it will arrive on a pallet. So just, be careful when taking that off. There we go, we're unsnapping those. And even though I guess I could use my scissors, I like using tools for what they're made for. So let's go ahead and with the blade, we're gonna open this. There we go. I probably need a new blade. This one's not very sharp at all anymore. Alrighty, let's go ahead and there we go. Ta-da! I feel like it's glowing, Let's go ahead and open that. Now this is a really thick packaging here, which is great because you know that DTF Station have packages right, so it doesn't get messed up in printer. We're gonna remove this top piece of foam here and gently place it off to the side. For warranty purposes, you are gonna wanna keep the box and all the internal packaging. So do your best to make sure that you're not really tearing or ripping or shredding anything. That's important. Of course, right here, we have a lot of our very important documentation. So this is great. This is a maintenance schedule, which is really gonna help you keep track of, wait, did I do this yet today? And then right here, we have the Prestige Quick Start Guide. Now this is a laminated piece, really durable so you don't lose it. And this has all the QR codes that you're gonna need to get started with the machine. All of the helpful information, it's one QR code away. And then of course, printer inspection sheet. Very nice, we're gonna not lose these, very important. Now, right at the unboxing, I see my beautiful printer right here. But first, let's work on the packaging now. As we carefully take this out, this is gonna be like all of your main printer accessories here. We have some extra dampers, some tubes, some syringes. We also have the, what is this called? The roll feeder brackets that are on here. So that's really cool. We're gonna set these aside right now. Now in here somewhere, you're gonna wanna keep your eyes peeled for a USB drive. Here it is. I'm gonna pull it out right here just to show you. This is the Prestige A4. It even has it printed on there, very nice. This USB is very important. That's gonna have your software on that, so don't lose that. Be sure you keep an eye out for that. Let's take these out really quick here. And now we're gonna remove this piece. This is gonna be the heated tray, like the exit tray that's gonna go and attach to the front of your printer. So when your DTF sheets roll off, they're just gonna come out straight, feed nice, help you avoid head strikes. This, believe it or not, this is actually a really essential piece of the puzzle right here. And now it is time. Now what's probably easiest is to remove this by the foam. The foam packaging is very durable, so if you want, you can grab it by the foam if that's the best place for you to reach it. It's a little high for me right now, so what you might want to do is set it down on the floor and then lift it out and bring it up to your tabletop. I'm gonna carefully set that back down. There we go. Okay, so now I could bring this out. Now I have seen some people, including our pals over at DTF Station, if it's easiest, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to drop it as you're pulling it out. So if it's easiest for you to remove it by tearing this part of the foam, you can do that. I think that's the way I'm gonna have to go. There we go. And this foam panel kind of breaks out, as you can see, which is gonna allow me to get a nice grip, a much better handle on this machine. It's not very heavy. I would guess it's coming in under 20 pounds. So we're gonna move that over. A few items right there, still in the foam. We're gonna go ahead and set this down. This is the bracket for your roll feeder. I'm not 100% sure what this is, but I will find out right now. I'll turn this around for you guys. And this is Beautiful. Now at this point, we're gonna go ahead and remove all of our packaging. This is probably where you're gonna wanna switch back to your scissors so you have a little bit more control. I've made the mistake with other equipment of trying to remove this with the blade, and it's too easy to gouge your new equipment. So just, you know, better to be safe than sorry. Just be careful. I could honestly pull this off, most likely. And again, using the scissors just for better control over this. Now this is not delicate. You know, it's very heavy duty build on this machine. Really great materials and quality, but it's new, and I don't like putting the first scratch on just in the unboxing. That's just me. So we're gonna go ahead and remove this. There we go, and this is it. Let's go ahead and open it up here so you guys could see inside. It's beautiful. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and unwrap now our heating base. You can cut it out if you want to. Just gonna get rid of this here. I actually love how well packaged everything is. It lets me know that like these things are packaged with care. It's just a sign of quality. So yes, thank you, DTF Station. All right, so this tray, you're gonna notice there are two tabs right here. These two tabs, they're gonna line up with these two tabs right here. So we're just gonna attach it to the front. Let's kind of slide it on down here to lock it in. And there you go. Now, because this is heated, we do have to plug it in so it can get its power. So you're just gonna insert this like so and rotate. You can rotate until it pushes in, or if you look, there's a notch that's right here, and you can just line that up with the notch on here. So either way, you can push that in, and then we're gonna lock this in by twisting that locking washer. And there you go, our front tray is installed. Okay, so now we're gonna turn this around so we can attach our waste ink bottle and our roll feeder brackets. So again, very carefully. I don't wanna mess up my brand new printer. Here we go. So for this next step, we're just gonna have our little waste ink bottle holder and our bottle, and it attaches very easily. These two tabs slide right in right here. Just gonna go ahead and drop that in. Oops. Gonna go ahead and drop our bottle in. We're gonna carefully just remove that. Now's a good time to note that nothing should ever be pulled or tugged on or forced at any point in this installation process, unless specifically told to do so, which I don't think is going to happen. Just going to gently insert it there. Of course, you know, whatever works. As it fills up, it's going to have a little bit more weight. But you don't want to tug on this with any of the tubes or any of the mechanics, really. You don't ever want to force anything. So if you do reach a point in the installation where you're having to pull and tug, stop and call technical support. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and attach these brackets. These are going to hold the roll feeder. Or I should say these are part of the roll feeder mechanism that's going to feed your DTF film straight into the machine. Now, one thing I should note, these are labeled right and left, and you might be thinking, wait, he has it backwards. No, no, no. When you're facing machine, this is the right and this is the left. So it is accurate, so just don't be fooled. If anything, you could just kind of reference the picture. The bracket should be on the outside. All right, and it comes with a total of 8 screws, 4 for each side, so let's go ahead and do this. Okay, that's good, nice and level. And now we're just gonna tighten it up. All right, now we're just gonna repeat those same steps on the right side, or left side, you know. Now at this point, our roller bar should sit nice and even between the two, and it should roll fairly smooth. All right, so first things first, we're actually gonna loosen this screw so that way it could slide onto the roller bar or the shaft. So we're gonna now insert this going in that way, and then we're gonna put it inside of our DTF roll of film. And then we're gonna cover it with the other one, and we're gonna place it on the roller bar. Don't worry about the positioning. We're actually gonna adjust that right now, and then we're gonna lock it into place. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and just open this up off our piece of film here. Now the outside is gonna be the print side, so we're gonna go ahead and load it up into our machine. We're gonna open up the top, all right? And we're gonna peer over, we're gonna look in, feed in just a little bit, and you wanna make sure that the film is centered in between the two walls here. So we see this wall, that wall right there. You wanna make sure that your film is coming in properly centered. Once that's done, we're gonna go ahead and get our screwdriver, and we're going to lock our wheels in place. A little firm. You don't want it to be, and I could roll this back out to find my screw. There we go. You don't want it to be too tight, because when it comes time to change out your roll of DTF film, you're gonna need to loosen it. So you don't want it like too deathly tight. Basically, you want it just tight enough to where it's gonna lock these wheels in place, so that way this isn't gonna shift left or right. You can kind of test it, right? And it's very clear that this is not gonna shift. So now my alignment's locked in. Okay, so the last thing we're gonna do before we get into the nitty gritty, which is the ink installation, is we're gonna go ahead and unlock this print head carriage. So I'm gonna go ahead, there's a little thumb screw here. Again, be very gentle with it. You know, it is a little tight, but you know, just slowly but surely. Again, when it comes to this printer, you don't wanna force anything, yank anything. So I'm just gonna carefully remove that, and I don't wanna drop it in there either. So we're just gonna carefully remove that. There we go. There it is, right there. There's also a little bracket holding it in place. You don't want that to get lost. That right there. And there's a sticker reminding you, before power on, customer should remove first. Yeah, so that bracket is to just keep everything in place while it's being shipped. Once that's removed, you can go ahead and remove that sticker. And now we are ready for our ink installation. Let's go ahead and plug in our power cord. We're also going to plug in our USB cord right here. We're going to go ahead and power on our printer. That's the sound of money. Then we're also going to turn on the power button right here. We got a green light, which is good. Now, if you see any red lights or any flashing red lights like that, double check that you removed the bracket that we just showed you. If the bracket is removed and you're still getting flashing red or any other like error indicators, go ahead and call support. These are the Color Max DTF inks that are sold separately from your Prestige printer, but can be purchased together in a bundle if you like. Now, before we get started with the ink install, we're going to want to give them a good shake for about 5 seconds each. Now, our white ink is special and is going to require a slightly longer shake, so we're going to shake this for about 15 seconds. All right, so to prepare for our ink installation, we're going to go ahead and open up the side panel, move that over, and then just to capture any drip, I am going to place a small towel just right under the printer. So I've already shaken up my inks. These are ready to load. When you're pulling these out, again, you want to be very careful. Just pull them out just far enough to where you're clearing the cap. You don't want to pull too hard because that could like cause a crease or a pinch in the ink line. I'm going to go ahead and carefully remove it. Notice that they are all color coded so you don't put in the wrong colors. Okay. Now we're going to pour our ink very carefully. All right, so now we're going to get our syringe. We're going to add the puncture tip to it. And this one you can force on. Just get it nice and tight. So what we're going to do is we're going to carefully remove each of these items. These are called the dampers. Now, at this point, it's very important to be cautious. I'm going to go ahead and just pull one out, pulls right out, and I'm going to be extremely careful to not touch this section. This is very sensitive, so I don't want to touch that at all. I'm going to handle the damper by its sides. I'm not going to pull on anything. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to insert the puncture tip inside right here, and you want it punctured into the damper or into this interior. You will hear it click. So I'm going to put it in, push it a little bit. There we go. You hear it click, and you see it filling. There we go. You're going to want to get the damper filled completely and even get some ink in your syringe. So we're going to pull, 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 pull. There we go. The syringe should be filled with a little bit of ink. Go ahead and pull that out carefully. And you can go ahead and discard all this ink into a cup or something safe. It's not going to get messed up. Now at this point, I can go ahead and put my damper back. And it should gently snap back into place. Now I have my trusty cloth here. So once I've discarded all of the ink that we removed from that first yellow damper, I'm just going to go ahead and clean off the tip, because we're going to use this same syringe to prime our other dampers, and you don't want that yellow ink mixing in the other one. So we're going to carefully pull this out now. And we're going to repeat this process until we've gone through all of the dampers. And there we go. We've now primed all of our ink lines. The next step is we're going to go ahead and prime the waste collection tank. So we're going to go ahead and pull this tube out. We're going to go ahead and connect it to our syringe. Make sure we have a good seal. And you're going to want to suction out. It's priming. There it is. There it is. We're going to get all that fluid coming through. There we go. That's nice. And you're going to want to do about 2 syringes. So I'm going to do a full pull on this syringe right here. Oh, there we go. Get it carefully. This could get messy right here. So we're going to go ahead and carefully just remove this. Kind of pinching the tube. There we go. So it doesn't leak everywhere. Going to dispose of that tube right there. Going to go ahead and reconnect. And I'm going to do another full draw. Nice and slow, nice and slow. You can see it's taking a little bit of extra work to fill in this one. No worries, we're not in a rush. Just fill in this syringe, fill in this syringe. There we go. I'm going to hold it. Carefully remove it. Dump that in there. We're done with that syringe. And now I'm going to go ahead and place this tube back in my tank. Make sure it's nice and fully inserted. You don't want that tube getting loose and spraying all your extra ink everywhere. And now we're gonna go ahead and I can completely discard this syringe and all of this extra ink. All right, so now we're gonna do our final media load through. Gonna bring it in here, making sure it's nice and aligned. And also you kind of wanna just help it down so it's running flush against the back here. Right until it touches the rollers. Now once it's touching the rollers, of course making sure it's perfectly aligned. There we go. You can go ahead and hit the exit button. Push it through just a little bit more. There we go. Make sure it's catching there. And now it's going to go ahead and pull our media through all the way to the front. Just make sure that your media is rolling through straight. Ideally, you'd run it the length of your job. And make sure that it's running in straight. Also, you want to make sure that at the end, it's able to just kind of free flow off the edge of your table. This is not an ideal setup, the way it's oriented, but we're just showing you. The reason for both of these things is you don't want any misalignment in the feed. If it misaligns, it could cause the film to bunch up and impact the print head. That's called a head strike. And that's, in some cases, it could cause damage to the head and cause it to need to be replaced. It's not always that fatal, but it can be, and that's just something that you really want to avoid with your DTF printer. So if necessary, take this time, double check the alignment all the way from the roller to the end, to the tray. If you have to adjust the roller or anything, now's the time to do it. But once that's all set, we're gonna go ahead and move over to our DigiRip install. Once you've plugged in your USB drive, go ahead and open it up in your computer, and you're gonna wanna double click on the file that says Prestige A4 DigiRip. This should be an install file. Now, once you double click it, it may ask for some permissions. Be sure you go ahead and allow it to make changes to your device. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and set our language to English, or whatever your preferred language is, and that's gonna open up the Install Shield wizard. And this is gonna walk us through the next portion of our installation. Be sure to read through and accept the terms, click next, and then it's gonna ask you where you wanna install the file folder. Honestly, I'm just clicking next. I'm perfectly fine with the defaults, but if there's a certain section of your computer hard drive that you want to save the file, you can go ahead and click change and set that location. All right, well, now that that's complete, we're going to go ahead and click finish. As you can see, I have a shortcut here on my desktop. If you don't, that's fine. You can go ahead and find the program in your start menu. Now, when you first open it up, it's going to ask you to select your preferred units and decimal places. In this case, I'm going to pick inches since I'm here in America, and I like using 2 decimal places. All right, now at this point, you are welcome to register for your trial. The trial is actually going to give you the full version of the product, but only for 15 days. So in this case, just for this video, I'm just going to register for a trial. However, you should have your activation code if you've purchased this machine. And in that case, you could just click to activate the full version. If you want to start off with just the trial, that's fine as well. You can always add your registration code a little bit later to fully activate the program and have access to the full version. Once you've input all your information, go ahead and click Register My Product. Now, before we open DigiRip for the first time, we are going to have to set up our queue. So you're going to see the Create Queue wizard open up here automatically. Let's go ahead and click Next, and it's going to guide us through setting up our printer. So if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and make sure your Prestige A4 is powered on, plugged in, powered on, and then you want to make sure that the device is connected to your computer. This is done with a USB cable. So make sure everything's plugged in. Once it's on and plugged in, go ahead and click Next. Now, once you click Next, it is going to open up what's called Compass. Compass is going to be your guide to the printer. So it's going to give you additional help and support for using DigiRip, basically all the necessary information. This is kind of like your user manual. Let's focus on the Create Queue wizard. Now, after you click Install Printer, you're going to see a full list of the DTF Station machines. Make sure you select the right one, which in this case is going to be the Prestige A4. Click on that and then click OK. You're going to want to make sure that Search for New Printer Packages from Cloud Server is selected. and then click Next. Now it's time to select our port, which is just where our machine's plugged in. Now I only have this plugged in directly via USB. It's the only thing for me that's plugged in via USB right now. So it's a lot easier to find. If you have multiple devices connected to your computer, make sure you click on the Epson L805 series USB connection, as you see here on screen. Your USB number might be different. Yours might say USB 002, 3, 4, 5, etc. But it's important that you're looking for the Epson L805. Once you've selected that, go ahead and click Next. Now, once you click Finish, that's going to go ahead and close out your Create Queue wizard and automatically open DigiRip. You do want to allow this network access just to make sure it has access to all of your printers. So we're going to click Allow. Let that process for a second, and there we go. We are in DigiRip. All right, so now that we're in DigiRip, we are going to want to set up our queue, and then we're going to perform a head cleaning and a nozzle check. Let's go ahead and walk you through that. First, we're going to go to Queue, select Manage Queues, and then once our queue manager is open, we're going to make sure that we select the correct port again. And then if you have the option to install your control panel, go ahead and do that now. You're just going to simply click Install. Go ahead and click OK here. And if necessary, go ahead and input your password and make sure that you allow changes. Once that's done installing, the title there will say Remove, which will give you the option to remove it. And that's going to indicate that we're done. So don't remove it. Go ahead and leave it there, and we're just going to click Close to close out our queue manager. All right, so now it's time to go ahead and do our head cleaning and nozzle check. We're almost done with our installation. To do this, we're going to go ahead and click on where it says Devices, and then we're going to Manage Device. Under Manage Devices, we are going to click on the icon that says Device Properties. That's going to open us up and give us the option to print a nozzle check pattern and do a head cleaning. And first, we're going to go with the head cleaning. To do that, simply click Head Clean and then go over to your printer, and then you'll be able to see and hear it perform its head cleaning function. You should see the printer carriage moving from side to side slightly at this point. You should definitely hear it performing the head cleaning function. All right, once your head cleaning is complete, you'll know because the blinking green light on the front of your printer will go from blinking to a steady green. Once that's done, let's go ahead and print a nozzle check pattern. You can go back into DigiRip, and we're just going to click Print Nozzle Check Pattern. And what that's going to do is it's going to send off a special print to your machine, and that's going to print off a special pattern that's going to let us know that everything's printing properly. All right, so our test print is complete. I'm going to go ahead and feed it out using the exit button here. And I'm going to carefully trim it off. You always want to be careful. You don't want to like bunch up and send any film back this way. Again, this is to help kind of avoid head strikes. You don't want any bunching on the inside. So I'm just going to carefully trim it. I'm going to hold it down right here. And I'm actually okay. This is just our test print. So there we go. Yeah, so you can see here all the nozzle patterns came out clean. There's no breaks in any of the patterns. It is a little bit harder to see the white and the yellow just because they're so light. So if you want, you can kind of like just lay it over just something dark just to see, make sure that those nozzles are firing correctly. But it looks like everything is perfect. So just to kind of recap, we did the head cleaning first, then we did the nozzle check pattern, and it came out great. Let's go ahead and fire off our first print. Alrighty, so now it's time to apply the adhesive powder to our print. Your machine is going to come with the DTF powder and this little tray, although I would recommend you're probably going to want to buy a bigger tray just to contain all the powder, as you'll see in a moment. One thing that I do like to do when I'm using a small tray like this is to just pour some powder into a cup. and then use this cup. This cup is a lot easier to manage than a huge bag of powder. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our transfer right here in the middle. Gonna gently sprinkle some powder over. If you have small clumps, that's fine. If you have big clumps like rocks, be sure to break them up. Be sure to break them up while they're still in the bag. And so now what I'm gonna do is, I'll turn this sideways so you can get a better look at it. So basically, you just kind of shake the powder over. There we go, and we're gonna go the other way. Shaking the powder over, making sure it has a nice coating. Then we're gonna dump the excess powder off, and then you could choose to just give it a little flick if you want to. Just gently agitate the film so any excess powder is not clumping on there, but I got a nice even coat, so this is ready to cure. Now, ideally, we would be doing this in a specially made DTF curing oven. However, if you don't have one, you should get one. But if you don't have one, it is possible to cure it in a heat press. However, this is going to take a lot more time than regular. However, for the sake of this tutorial, we are going to show you how it's done. What I've done is loosened my pressure all the way and removed the lower pad on my heat press, which is why I've covered it with this piece of parchment paper. And I've set it to where when I close my heat press, it's gonna hover roughly 1/8 of an inch off the surface of the bottom platen. Now, you do not want this print to make contact with the heating element. So if necessary, be sure you cover your upper heating element as well. But that being said, we're gonna go ahead and slide this in. And we're gonna close our heat press. We are not making contact. We're simply hovering it over the print, and that's gonna sit there for right about 3 minutes or so. All right, so it's been a few minutes. I actually set my timer to be a lot longer than what I needed. We've actually had this cooking for in total about 5 minutes. We're gonna go ahead and check on it now. And what we're gonna be looking for is like an orange peel texture. So instead of like a coarse powder, it should look melted, which is in essence what it's done. Now, it's not really just melted, it's actually cured and bonded with the print. So that looks great. And I don't think we've shown you this part yet, but the print looks fantastic. I actually can't wait to see it on the t-shirt. Don't worry, I am gonna trim off those top and bottom white lines before we send it to print. But now we're ready for our last step, which is application to the t-shirt. Let's do it. I am gonna pre-press my garment for about 5 seconds. I'm not gonna really apply full pressure. I just wanna get out all the wrinkles and moisture. Now, I should mention at this point, this transfer is shelf stable. It is able to be saved for pressing at a later date. You could even ship this to your customer and have them apply it onto their garment with their own equipment. So we're gonna go ahead and center our transfer. This is a new superhero called CMYK-Man. Very excited for his superpowers. He has the power to print in full color. Gonna cover this with a sheet of parchment paper. Gonna slide that in. My heat press is set to 320 degrees for 15 seconds with medium pressure. Now this is gonna be a hot peel, so once this is done, we're gonna wait just about 2-3 seconds and then go for the peel. Alrighty, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. We're gonna go from the corner, go nice, low, slow. The colors came out great. The resolution is all there. I didn't have to cut or weed any of this. You just apply the powder adhesive, cure that, and then boom, we're on the shirt. And best of all, I put this on my shirt, but I could have easily sent that transfer across the country. My clients could put that on their shelves, press it, and 3 months later, still would look just as good. Last step, I'm gonna go ahead and cover this with parchment, and we're just gonna seal it in. We're gonna do one more quick press, and then we're good to go. Man, I could not be more excited. Of course, that parchment's gonna come right off, and here we go. All done. It does not get better than that. Look at that. As always, if you have any questions about your Prestige A4 DTF printer or any other Heat Press Nation product, you can call our tech support team at 800-215-0894. You could also reach support online at support.heatpressnation.com.